Pharaoh's Cousin, written by Ben-Tzion Spitz, narrated by Jennifer Kahen. I hate him, Pirit thought as she lay in bed. He will destroy us all. Pirit tossed and turned. There was no possibility she could relax. She feared the darkness would not lift, much like the last plague. She was still traumatized by that paralyzing, endless night. She would forever curse the unreliable sun, yet pray for its return. Cousin Pharaoh has doomed Egypt, Pirit fitfully mused, and Moses has ever delivered on his word. The firstborns shall die, Moses had said in his deep and authoritative voice. The chill she had received from the announcement had struck her as if her firstborn Rabret had been executed on the spot. Oh, sweet Rabret, Pirit moaned to herself. Only 15 years old, just now entering manhood. Small tears streamed down Pirit's face at the thought of losing him. There was a tense stillness throughout the Egyptian night, as if the entire country was expectantly holding its breath. Word had spread like wildfire of Moses' last declaration. This 10th plague promised to be the worst by far. It would affect every home. Poor and wealthy alike would suffer. Pirit's mind churned restlessly. Only the childless would be spared the pain of losing a child they never had. Yet Pharaoh still refuses to let the Israelites go, Pirit screamed in her head. He is mad, but what can we do? Then it started. Pirit heard a soft moaning from far away. She stayed in bed trying to ignore it, hoping it would go away. Then the moaning got louder and closer, but it was not really a moan. It was a cry of bitterness and sorrow and anguish, and the cry intensified and got louder. Pirit thought the cry was like a living thing, growing in strength, form, and power. Before she knew it, the cry was overwhelming. It was all around her. It seemed as if every stitch of the Egyptian fabric was crying in excruciating pain. She could not hold back any longer. Pirit unclenched her tightly closed eyes and rose from her bed. She walked as if to her own execution to Rabret's room. The room was abnormally quiet amidst the communal screaming of Egypt. Perhaps he is just sleeping peacefully, Pirit prayed. But there was no movement, no breathing sounds, no gentle rising and falling of his young chest, no outward sign of life. Very gently, Pirit touched Rabret's shoulder. It was cold in the warm Egyptian night. Rabret, Pirit shook him. Please wake up, my darling. But there was no answer. Losing hope, Pirit pulled on Rabret's shoulder to see his face. She stepped back, holding her hands to her face with a thick stream of hot tears rolling down her cheeks. Rabret's face was a frozen grimace of pain. The only way to interpret it is that his life had been cut short urgently, powerfully, and violently. He was an empty husk now. Pirit rushed back to embrace her lifeless son, her firstborn, her Rabret. Oh no! Not my sweet Rabret, no! And then Pirit started to wail, a keen, piercing, heartbroken cry that joined the voices of the rest of Egypt in a discordant symphony of pain. This madness has gone on far enough. I do not care if it is treason or blasphemy, Pirit thought as she stomped her way to her cousin's palace. She was not alone. Other nobles, royals, and advisors were making their way teary-eyed to Pharaoh's audience chamber. My son, my heir, Pharaoh was murmuring, holding the prince's scepter loosely in his hand. Pharaoh was sitting, bent over on his throne, surrounded by a growing enraged audience. Pirit pushed through the group and without announcement or introduction addressed Pharaoh. How many more children do we need to sacrifice? Pirit demanded. How many more? What can we do? Pharaoh asked no one in particular. Let the Israelites go, Pirit shouted. That is what they want, Pharaoh said weakly, still looking at the boy's scepter. But it is too late now. all is lost. Pirit approached the throne, uninvited, to the quiet gasps of those around. "Cousin," Pirit addressed Pharaoh, "all will be lost if you do nothing. Let them go as you should have done long ago. How much more must Egypt pay for their enslavement? Who knows what the next plague will bring? Please, cousin, for the sake of my other children, your other children, for what still remains of Egypt, you must release them now. Listen to the screams. They are getting louder." "I feel like a puppet in the Hebrew god's hands." Pharaoh started clenching his teeth. "Every time I have a thought to release them, I feel a compulsion to keep them enslaved." "Then by Ra." "No, not Ra." Pirit looked at the large statue of their god, her lip curling in a sneer. "By the Hebrew god who has proven himself to be all-powerful and has reduced Ra to a meaningless sculpture, I swear by the Hebrew god." Pirit knelt down and grasped firmly onto both of Pharaoh's ankles amidst further gasps of the audience. "I shall not leave you until you go and free the Israelites." Pharaoh looked down at his cousin, shocked into awareness by her bold and daring violation of his holy person. He recognized Pirit's ancient gesture. It was the physical vow of a supplicant not to let go of the provider until their wish was granted, or until they were killed for the mere impropriety. Consequently, a murmur started in the audience chamber, with the backdrop of the wailing growing stronger. "Pirit is right," Pharaoh heard whispered. "He must let the Hebrews go," another voice added. "We are lost. Pharaoh has doomed us. What can we do?" "He must let the Hebrews go." "Let the Hebrews go." "Yes, let the Hebrews go." "Let the Hebrews go," someone said as a chant with a wailing counterpoint. "Let the Hebrews go." The chant was picked up. "Let the Hebrews go," the entire room said. "Let the Hebrews go," reverberated throughout the palace. Pharaoh ran out of his palace, the prince's scepter still in hand, followed by an extensive entourage led by Pirit. Pharaoh headed for the Hebrew quarter of his city. He walked unsteadily, looking from doorway to doorway for signs of the home of Moses or Aaron. "Where is Moses?" Pharaoh cried. "Where is Aaron?" But there was no answer. "Hebrews!" Pharaoh called out. "Please help me. Where are Moses and Aaron?" Out of breath, leaning on the doorframe of a Hebrew home, Pharaoh was surprised to feel a sticky substance on his hands. He looked at his hands. To his horror, they were full of blood. "Moses! Aaron!" Pharaoh screamed above the hum of the general wailing, which was noticeably quieter in the Hebrew quarter. "I am sorry. I was wrong," Pharaoh continued. "You and your people may go. Please, go." "I am here, Pharaoh." Moses appeared in one of the doorways. Aaron was beside him, and they were followed by other Hebrew elders. "Oh, Moses!" Pharaoh got down on his knees. The rest of the entourage followed suit. Go, please. I was wrong. Go. Take everyone that you wanted to take. Women, children, animals, all the animals. Take everyone and get out quickly. Now, please leave. Leave before we are all destroyed." Moses turned to the Hebrew elders and directed them to go ahead and give word. They were all dressed for travel, carrying satchels and fully laden bags, as if they had been expecting to be released. Wordlessly, Moses turned to leave. "Moses, my lord," Pirit pleaded, "is this the end? Will this end the deaths and the destruction in Egypt?" Moses looked at Pirit with a solemn, sad face. "That will depend on you." He pointed at all of them. "You and the will of Pharaoh." He pointed at Pharaoh. Pirit shivered. "If it is up to us and Pharaoh, then we are truly doomed." And without another word, Moses turned his back on the Egyptians, never to see his birthplace, the land of the Hebrew oppressors, again. This has been Pharaoh's Cousin, written by Ben-Tzion Spitz, narrated by Jennifer Kahen.